an annual report, the code, a packet from this,
I will send,
and this case document, which I don't know.
and I'll make sure I'll send out a follow-up that some stuff wasn't included in the invite.
Beautiful. Okay. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Sir.
Thank you to the team. Hi, Doug. Does this mean you ended up getting lots of snow?
The good news is we didn't get the snow. The bad news is I woke up a little feeling punk, so I didn't want to spread any germs down there in Virginia and near Richmond.
We'll never complain about that.
The last thing anybody needs is a new virus.
If we have other people, I want to make them identify themselves.
Yes, that's the reason. So, sounds like,
But I don't think our camera's on.
there's that and the fact that.
It's I'm a part of stuff. Okay.
You staying in that group?
No.
You're going on that.
Is there the letter from that? No, that's. So everything's needed. You mentioned that.
Low-key.
Yes,
We're just. How was the drive up? Thank you. So they're.
back in.
Ryan, you spelled your name with a Y, not an I. We have to change that as minutes, and we also have to spell it. You were amazing because apparently you were absent, but yet you were here. On this, you're listed.
Yeah, see if you
I'm
get
like,
the audio.
"Oh, you're good."
Yeah. I'll hear in spirit.
That's what it was.
Working on
So we
it.
need to adjust that.
God, can you hear us?
It's a nice library.
I like it. Was it easy from you coming your direction, Kathy?
No, he said, yeah, he's
Oh,
got.
that's good to go. So this is maybe.
Can you talk for a second, Doug?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're coming in on the laptop and we're just trying to get you to come on the speakers.
I understand how this is an issue after.
Like this one, oh, I see us now, but.
He doesn't have baby.
No. This side.
Did you turn the camera on with that? With that,
This.
Ryan?
Are
Turn the camera on with that console?
Yeah.
Okay.
If I'm remembering right,
Oh,
I think I don't want that. I think.
yeah, put Doug back up there.
No. Still bigger than something. So I want to see. I actually use points to see how things. I have to like open my app. I'm looking.
Well,
So good, I told you. It's ability. So she looked at me like. So I got our camera working. I accidentally took him off of that screen now
and we need the audio.
and the audio. It was not working.
Okay.
So. The question is, I guess, is it easier to log on the PC?
So you want it? You want?
He's running.
Running.
Now,
So yes, and then we want that screen on the other one.
Like the
Screen from the computer.
Sit down while we're people.
gotta get a good deal.
Thank you.
So the, basically the issue is.
freedom of liberty. Yeah.
No, thank you, but his audio is coming, the audio for the meeting is coming.
Yeah, back in the day, the audio, like the one in Baltimore, I feel like.
audio from Teams.
At some point,
I think it has to come from there.
So Russell.
Because this is up the times and go.
If you lose.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny, when.
Doug, can you talk please?
Hey, Joe.
Tourism plan.
There we go.
It's.
Yeah, no, is that me? I think she just changed something on some teams. There's not two batteries.
And for trying to get the job.
Starting something.
Great.
So I'm the.
I thought you were leaving us. I thought you were leaving us. You might not have done that for leaving us. That's what I'm already. Oh, yeah. Oh. I thought you were retired or something.
Slips me.
Oh,
He's not Paul, but he's off from corridor. He's in the, his business was in the surface, asphalt business.
Okay, do we have anyone else? We're having a fun time we haven't all seen each other in a while. And we have, Joe online and Doug online. Who is KG? Oh, that's you. Okay, thank you, Ken. All right, gotcha. So it doesn't seem to be any, additional folks joining the call from the public. So, I think it's the fact that it's already after 2 o'clock and we now have our technology working. I think we will call the meeting to order. First, item of business, I just want to thank the staff that's here. So we've got Ken and Jonathan here as staff. Ryan Welsh is back at the Department of Energy. So there's a little joke that moves around. They got custody back of him. So that's kind of fun. And we're glad of that. So he'll be our liaison to this authority. And as far as other attendees, so the, let's start by approving the meeting agenda. I'll try to stick to the agenda today. I like to roll all over. Okay, so is there a motion to go ahead and approve the agenda for today? Bill, thank you for your first. Is there a second? Second. All right, Kathy, and all those in favor? Aye. Okay, Joe, raise your hand. Oh, yep, exactly. We need to add that in. Okay. All right. That's right.
Hey,
You can't
Ashley?
have it. Yep, I know we need to go and get you approved to participate virtually. All
Ashley,
right. Yes, sir. Yes,
Um,
Doug.
I would approve the minutes, but I was an attendee at that meeting and my name isn't on the list.
Okay, we're not doing the minutes yet. We were just trying to approve this agenda, but
Oh,
Ryan.
I'm sorry. I thought you said, okay, sorry.
Yeah, perfectly fine. Let me go and we have to start with, is there a motion to allow Joe and Doug to participate virtually as they are further than 60 miles? Bill for the first, and Brian for the second. All those in favor of letting Joe and Doug participate, say aye. Aye. All right. Ayes
Aye.
have it. Well, you can't vote yes. So, all right. And then now we'll call to approve the agenda one more time for good measure because now they can vote. All in favor of the agenda?
Aye.
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 Joe and Doug, are you in favor? Give me a thumbs up, Joe, if you're in favor of approving the agenda for today. Beautiful. Love it. Okay, great. All right. So then we're going to move to the minutes and there are a couple of corrections on the minutes from last time. Brian was not here. He truly was absent and he is a Y, not an I. And Doug, what did you tell us about the minutes?
I was there and I'm not on the list.
Oh, they corrected it, that we've got you back on now.
Oh, okay.
We have to, thank you though for pointing that out. Okay, so are there any other adjustments or corrections to the minutes? Okay, may I have a motion to approve the minutes? Okay, Will is jumping in as amended, yes. All right, Kathy and Will, and for the first and second, all those in favor, say aye. Joe and Doug, give me a
Aye.
thumbs up. Beautiful, visually affirm that they have voted. It's unanimous to pass this. Okay, so,
Ashley,
yes, sir.
I can only see the three people that are on, myself, KG, and Doug.
You can't see
Is
the
there another
room?
way to see everybody that's there?
Oh, sorry. We thought you could see us because we could see you, but Ryan's on it.
Doug, can you see us?
No, because we're not a meeting. This
Okay.
one.
Stand by.
Please hold. We have no music.
I wonder if. Okay, let's see if I can do this.
Audio.
Go to this. While they're figuring that out, Happy Brian and Chris, I wrote a little note to Eileen, thanking her for the time you'll sign that.
I wonder if this doesn't.
Video.
Well, the video is, I tried that and it's only the camera.
That camera? Just the laptop camera?
We-
Oh,
We could, I guess. I was hoping to. That will work-ish, but I'd prefer a better solution. I feel like you need that computer to be in the meeting for that camera to hook up to it. Well, let's do that real quick. 1 second.
But that can be a part of the meeting, so it gets recorded on his end.
Yeah, no, we're, that's.
Emails.
I'm just gonna.
Brian needs to.
That's, can you pull your release?
That's like signing. And Joe and Doug, while we were waiting to see if you can visually see us better than just through the laptop camera, you guys have all the attachments, not all of them, but most of them are what Ryan attached to the meeting calendar invite. So just making sure that you have that to reference. Thank you for doing that, guys.
I see something, but it's not in focus.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Okey-doke.
So I'm just gonna do a couple of talking things that don't require like major attention. So what we just passed around here, guys, was just a note to Eileen Bull for thanking her for her time on the authority. She did apply for reappointment but it did not happen. But Chelsea Jenkins has been appointed. Former Deputy Secretary of Commerce and Energy was in her bailiwick, and she is, what's the name of the lab? It's not Jefferson. The Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech Secure Energy Center.
Secure Energy Center.
Or something.
Yeah. So, but she had another obligation here in Richmond today that she was a keynote speaker for. So unfortunately, and that was already planned well before we set the date. So she's sorry to not be here, but she will be here at the next meeting, and I'll take the time to go and just meet with her separately and bring her up to speed. So we're ready for the next time. So.
This feedback, I apologize. So we're gonna test that real quick.
What you'd be able to do is just use the laptop.
It's what I'm hoping I can do.
Oh.
Someone wants to try talking.
Can y'all still hear us?
You get a thumbs up? We did.
Oh, I saw technology so much. Why don't we turn that mic off and leave that one on?
Okay.
Although this one was right, so I'm hesitant to. Can you hear us?
Yes, loud and clear, and you're very much in focus right there.
Yeah, let me see if I can fix that.
Maybe it's a blurred background.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Although it says none. I think it's just the lighting. Yeah. Jonathan, can you run upstairs and see if we can figure out how to get this camera to,
Doug
please?
and Joe, will you freak out if you can't visually see us in good focus?
He can see me.
You try, as long as you can hear us, that's more important to me. Keep us moving while they try to figure it out. Brian, you're good with that, aren't you?
Yes.
And it's still recording? Okay, great. Okay, so just what?
Can they still hear us?
Mhm.
Yes,
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it. Good work, Kathy. So the third item on the agenda is just a review of the annual report. You guys, we went through this and approved it at the last meeting. The cover letter that I included is not on it. We'll send that in an email to everybody. So you guys can see what went with it. But Ryan took care of making sure this went. they paused and waited for the new administration. So it was just going to get lost because we were behind submitting it anyway, as an annual report. So it was just a smarter decision to go ahead and, wait until, and so it has been presented to, Governor Spanberger. And so the letter I did initially, we'll make sure you guys get a copy of that, the cover letter, but it was then addressed to her instead of to, and then it has been, explain the next steps for where it'll be distributed to everybody.
So the annual report is submitted to the Secretariat for approval. Once the Secretary approves it, it'll generally be approved by the Chief of Staff, or what is known as the gold sheet process. At which point we will get it back and we are then allowed to disperse it to, it is supposed to be dispersed to the general assembly, the various members of the general assembly. And it's published it on our website. So we are waiting for Secretary approval currently. That might take a while just as function. We don't get a solution, but yeah, we're brand new administration in the middle of general assembly, but
Okay, any questions about the annual report? I know that is very important to this group to know what the next steps were and how it was getting distributed.
So
So,
which secretary? College and training. Oh.
so just it has been, I reached out to the secretary, Chenery, and they were not able to send anybody here. Obviously, they're trying to get things still sorted out, Chamber Day on the Hill, all kinds of things. But, they will make sure that we have someone here at the next Val meeting, and I think that'll be great, because I think they'll have a little bit more direction than what you're seeing. At least 1 foot under them, maybe not 2, but that's nice. So as far as that goes. So please act, and assurance and ensuring that the general assembly members are receiving. Okay. Any other questions about that?
We don't know when they're going to receive.
As soon as it gets, yeah.
as soon as, when we receive approval from the Patrick Henry building, the governor's office, we will then submit it to general assembly. I do not have an expectation of what the secretary's timeline is, given all of the dynamics factors involved.
I'll reach out between Ryan and I will reach out again saying, hey, we really would like this to be. Understand what the administrations, some of the unfortunates, with that, the hiccups, delays.
That's good. Oh, sure. Just since we're kind of doing some administrative conversation.
Absolutely.
How does the annual report and the efforts of VALDA, can you refresh our memories on how that feeds into the governor's energy plan? And the requirement for the incoming governor to have an energy plan by certain, and I don't know that timeline, if it's that's not 1 month. If it's 90 days or if it's 120 days, I can't remember. It's been a while, 4 years since we've done that process. Staff.
Yeah, so the energy plan is required to be submitted by October 1st of the incoming year.
2026.
So October 1st, 2026 is when is when in statute, the energy plan is required to be completed, submitted. I think staff and the administration will aspire to that, but didn't happen, obviously. Government and reports are not always timely.
Yeah.
I'll just put that, caveat out there, but as part of that process, we do, and I can, for the next meeting, maybe bring the code section. We have to do an in-depth analysis of the historical energy and power grid factors in Virginia, as well as what the developing trends are. And to do that, we look at historical data, as well as there's a pretty rigorous stakeholder engagement process that is outlined in terms of who the entities we absolutely have to meet our part. I imagine the related could or would be related to offshore wind as a project or potential generating mix that continues to perform in the Commonwealth. Also, that is how that developed. Ultimately, all that stuff gets distilled, and the Department of Energy will write a report, and that report goes through the same approval process where it gets toyed with and adapted based on priorities. There's a lot of back and forth meetings between the secretary.
The reason I ask, like, these type of reports, Is there any purpose in giving people a concept, understanding what Vow's been doing, what offshore wind industry has been doing, especially in light of the past, let's say, it's not a linear growth model, it's been, or, you know, so I'm just trying to capture.
I think that the department has a pretty good understanding of what has been going on with the offshore wind industry. But I think this report is helpful for those who do not actively participate in either valid or track industry to understand it. And can serve as maybe a quick pull-out briefing when the governor or an entity within the governor's office asks for information about relate to the energy plan.
Been any discussion with the governor's office, her energy agenda and her current focus on affordability?
No, so
Because that's all she talks about, that's all her administration talks about. Well, it seems to be having energy plan, which includes offshore wind, contributes directly to affordability in the Commonwealth.
so I
Do you
will.
want to pause and do that, discuss that further over to the agenda items or the legislative items or?
I can.
Okay, good. Very great. Thanks.
So I will say that this is one of the reasons we wanted the administration to be here. I can only speak to them for them so much, given my role in Harvard Energy. I would say that we, in this energy plan, will be focused on energy affordability for the governor's leadership, for the governor's stance on topic. That would be one of the driving focuses of the energy plan. So how offshore wind relates to that will certainly play a role in our analysis, of how we think about the potential development, further development of the industry, as well as what is already codified in code in terms of petition amounts for offshore wind.
I'll go ahead and jump and tell you that what Brian was kind enough to do is correct something that's a public record about CBOW right now. That's on their website, but I did speak to GT and they will make sure someone's here next time. They just couldn't have the representatives here today specifically for CBOW. For those who don't remember, we had our meeting and the next day is when everything went wonky, the pause from the took place. And so they went but all the lawsuits have all enough and all those 5 projects that were put on pause are happening again, which includes Dominion was on top of it. They were ready to go within sorts together. And I'll be excited to see because I can look and see what it is. The date has changed, but they were hoping by March of 26 it would be actually good power on the grid. So that'll be something really interesting to see what that adjustment timeline is.
Yeah, there is a slight slippage in the timeline. Over, I think the first group is
Yes.
up, and they are hoping. I think that still is the final term installation dates. But they do expect to start the power on the grid. I guess I don't know if this group is aware within the CVAL filing that Ryder OSW, PJM in their third study for the transmission upgrade requirements thinks that as of right now, the company Dominion is estimating CVAL could be curtailed by 50% between 2027 and 2031. Annual energy production, which has significant impact to ratepayers. Lots of reasons. One of them being it's just producing less energy instead of being able to more up energy. And then there are various things associated with that. Also producing less energy means it qualifies for less of a production tax credit or investment tax credit as a function, because that is rated based on how much energy it produces, as well as it would be producing less RECs because it's generating less clean than ratepayers. Sure. Supply paraphrase. Yeah, for nobody just express the question.
Phrase this properly. From what you just stated, is that something that's in the public sphere? Is that like an SEC filing? Is that?
That's in the latest Ryder OSW case, which is PUR 2025-0055. It was in, I'll figure out which staff testimonies that was in. I can share that around. We're currently waiting on PJM's late last round of studies for it to determine how much curtailment and the duration of that curtailment, but the Dominion is committed to when they figure out what upgrades need to be made, making those upgrades as soon as possible.
That's one. I'm sorry.
No, these are good questions.
So obviously, we would talk about 2.6 gigawatts, 5.2 gigawatts. Now we know there's sort of like a capacity factor that actually roughly is for to the grid, which is about 50% of that, right? Or something, 42. Okay, sure, 42. Sorry to be generous. Say 42. Is that half of 42 is what you're describing?
Is that, my understanding is that there are
That's
few
the-
times the curtailment results in, annual overproductions.
Because now we're talking,
Um, as I understand, it, and I'm happy to.
thank you for bringing that to the.
Yeah, just, it's a tidbit that unless you dive in, that's.
Exactly.
Probably.
That's gonna be, that's gonna be interesting for the report. Because we saw the news project. Again, went up in cost. I think that's gonna equate to something about 0.25% that we're expecting on that output. And it's all being passed to the ratepayer. I think that is, somehow that's gonna get something to the affordability.
Once again, it should be mentioned that the curtailment would occur, in the near term, 2026 to 2030, 2031, and then the idea is that those curtailment, the transmission congestion should be. I think within. There is also in the rider RPS plan, the rider clean energy plan. Rider Clean Energy with the company annually does their RPS plan as well. They look at the amount of RECs that would have to be purchased. For compliance, their CVAL was curtailed by that 50% amount. I think it was $322 million for the RECs over the 5 period. I'm happy to provide all those documents.
Question belong. Previous lines of. So as an independent body, I'm questioning why this report has to be approved by any. Our own charter talks about the annual report, saying the authority shall submit the annual report to the governor, the chairman of the house, and then it goes on. Not through the department, but directly to them. There's no reason that anybody should be approving something that the board, an independent body has created and approved within the body. That is not the intent of our charter. The intent is to get this report to lawmakers to influence their bills and budget items. And that's why when Chelsea was secretary, when she was asked, when is it ideal to actually get some of these recommendations? It was in June. That's why we did the white paper in June, because what we find in this influences what they do. So I've just failed to understand this, going through these levels of approval when we are an independent body that this report should not be approved. It's already approved from this independent body, and we are charged in our own charter to deliver it to these entities.
So my comment on that is Virginia Energy employees that we are an executive agency. And we are, as I understand, are ultimately the one responsible for submitting these things. What we are submitting, because we are an executive agency. That's.
What the code doesn't say, state what the process is. This is the process in any commission or authority that would be that accurate.
Well, the code just says, at this point, the authority shall submit annual subordinate activities to the governor. Now, I get the nuance that that's what it says. But what does that really mean as far as hours submitted?
It says that the report may include the submission of the division. And that would be the convenient thing. Oh, everybody does it together. However, our charter states this is specifically that we, the authority, submit it to these entities. The whole point, and again, this report should never be approved or not approved. We are the body that approved, nobody else. This goes to the entities that are listed in our charter within the government. It can be combined with that. That was a may be included. But if it's going to be delayed through these approval processes, then that is, that directly affects our ability to influence anything with the lawmakers.
I just wanted to bring this up that, the director of the energy is to be the director of the, as written in the code, so is that actually give the and go through this route or not?
Not to go against code,
The 1807, strike.
Yeah.
right?
So it's just a question I wanted to know, like. That'd be.
That's also a fair point.
Has the code changed?
Now, the reason
What has
is
done in the past?
this process.
This
In
process.
this process
So
of how
we've
it
done
exists
this
for all
for years.
Department of Energy boards, including the former solar expert.
Okay, so this is the process we're given right now. We can ask these questions, how we can circumvent them, but that is currently what has been done, and we just need to ask those questions. And this is, I'm not exactly sure what to do here, because I don't know how we can, I mean, we can. Are you suggesting we just go ahead and blanket send it to everybody, Kathy?
That's what is stated in the code.
I just think that there are processes that are not specifically, I don't want to violate anything else. I want to do it the right way. And that is,
I would say that if you were going to do that, it would have to be for y'all staff, not energy staff, not be the ones distributing on your behalf.
right,
But why would that be?
And or executive agency and we distribute things to the General Assembly.
way that is written.
Per the governor.
Yeah. So a big, and so the fact that the director of energy is the director of the authority, that is the way it's about to go through. Ministry of the Affairs and Business, so yeah.
Hey, Ashley,
Director shall maintain its all papers and be read in 1807. Thank you for pointing that out, John.
Is the submission for approval, or is it a submission for possible clarification?
These types of things which need, I'm gonna interpret how you're saying clarification. Is generally just say, we recognize this is what they did. Okay. So
Just
basically,
stamp of approval. Oh, I'm sorry, Doug.
may I ask a couple
I
questions?
can't hear
you're
you.
muted, Doug,
There we go.
maybe.
May I ask a couple questions, Ashley?
No,
So,
1 second, so we can hear you. Apologize, that's why we didn't realize you were. Thank you for doing it. Well,
Still work.
We didn't make any changes.
See where I was going with that?
Yeah.
It's just
it's
a
just fine.
submission process. So that basically the governor's stamp and any clarity or it gets to the governor, or does it have to be?
Did you try to speak again, Doug?
Doesn't get approved by anyone else.
Is it other than they don't listen, they just okay it.
Try again, Doug.
And in the
So
same,
which is in a weird way to approve.
and
So I think it's
sort of code, it states the division shall serve as staff to the authority.
Can you hear me?
Right.
So
Let's figure out, I trust Ryan that he is doing it in the correct way, the way he is intended. And if what I don't want to do is for you to have a motion here that we go ahead and send it out and do it the wrong way and it looks poorly upon us because we didn't follow the process.
Doug, try again.
Yes, Doug,
Can you all hear me?
Unfortunately, we can't hear you.
Okay.
Joe, try speaking.
hey Joe, will you try to talk, unmute, and we'll see if we can hear you, Joe, or if it's just Doug's issue.
Hello, can you hear me?
We didn't change anything for the.
You have to unmute, Joe.
No, still.
I'm unmuted.
Everything is still set up right. They didn't change anything.
Nothing was, Joe, can you unmute, unmute yourself?
We can turn this light on up here.
Yeah. Can you just turn off that? But my one change was reads.
You never have these problems with,
For doing triggers, cameras, and on this mic. Is he with you?
Oh, is there anything in the chat?
Waiting, no, not yet, but I'm waiting to see.
Hey Doug, can you put your comment in the chat?
That's what I'm doing.
That's what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Donovan, you're gonna have to read it for us, what he said.
What is precedent for administration approval? Have they ever sought to approve our reports before? And then the second thing is, maybe it's a difference between commenting on our report versus approving.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly this is how the last 20 years about it. Goes. And the governor, going to secretary.
Take the opposite. What's problematic, I think, yeah. I'm not sure it's.
It's approval, it's just a rubber stamp to say, yes, now it's okay to submit.
We review,
Yes.
have no further questions.
Correct.
Now we're
It's
doing
still-
Yeah,
That's different than saying we've approved.
Yes.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So what we wanted to know was just that it was going out. I am confident right now it is going through the process. What we need to do is see if we can get it speeded up so that it's having through the terms. That's not what we can, and I don't know that we have a lot of control. And it's our fault, my fault, and making this not getting done in prior to, in October when it's actually due.
But I understand
Yeah,
executive vision of the governor, doing their due diligence, clarifying everything. Or it gets their desk, the other general assembly members. Yeah, I can't imagine that there'd be any changes.
no, I don't think that we're anticipating that. I think it's just a matter of, yes, now it's ready to go.
Sounds good. Yeah, we had no further questions. These are the opinions of, say,
Prior, what we just wanted to do was know we had confirmation that it actually got to them. Because that was something that was lacking. So that's where, so I feel, so that's, let me go and work with Ryan on seeing how we can move it up faster to know that. But that is simply where we really, the important part was, is we just wanted to know that it actually got out.
I'm. Great. Hey, bills, sounding.
Yes.
Like.
Yep. Yep.
The new administration, based on, what the new administration to be propagated for. Basically, a report. When the administration was reviewing these actions. Right, and then, I mean, that might help. That's what I.
Absolutely. Okay.
so to the point of, informing the governor's office, governor's policy team about bills. When bills are passed, the governor will sign, and the agency will do a review of those bills, then include any pertinent information, then like a bill summary of what happened to that bill throughout the process, and then pertinent background and associated information. So this report.
But I think the other part there, time means this, but you have also, because. Sort of share, like, from Uber, and somebody said, bills are coming through.
Right.
And any funding requests going through appropriation, so. I think that's the way we can maybe politely put it, is that,
Without the benefit.
Of this, yes.
yeah, it's just. It's gonna help them make better informed decisions as committee chairs and the administration before session wraps, ideally before crossover. See this, just because it's contextual. what it's worth.
Yep, I agree. And the one question I'm gonna ask right now is, we're gonna go through these. Jennifer loving it. Yeah, probably. I couldn't remember her name. But I think that, to your point, and we're gonna go through these legislative items right now. I think that's next on the agenda.
You know, I would prefer to do that before, if you want to look at this more, because I've got a hard.
Yes, I know. Let's go, well, I'm gonna skip right to number 5. So, yeah, exactly. I'm gonna answer the code section really super quick, and I can do this. So the request that we had in regard to getting some code things into this legislation in the packets. I've reached out to, and we did not get, folks to pick it up. Everybody had their dockets full of what they were allowed to. And it basically was gonna get put on the shelf anyway. It was gonna be put in the drawer and handled till next time. I did speak with Senator that includes Wallop Island and Oceana, and he has agreed that he is going to do personal outreach to try to actually get someone from the space program to participate and encourage that. That gives us one more, if they sit one more time, that if they don't, it gives us validation simply coming into next year. So that's all we need to say about the code right now. That's something we are going to move forward with things. It's just not going to be. Now we can move on. Okay, on to legislative activity updates.
So
My glasses on.
Will alluded to, there are a couple, to my knowledge, 2 on for Will wind bills remaining. And there's some other related bills that Ashley I'm looking to do. Those offshore wind related bills are HB 67, HB 25. They're related all for workforce development there. The same bill as last year, related for workforce development. I've included that code language or the bill language with the packet as well. It's the bill about having the Department of Energy identify and develop training resources to advance the offshore training. Simply. And then related bill I also included was HB 1079, and there's also another similar bill, I believe from Shin. I think it's 1135. I don't have a copy of that unless I apologize, but it's related to all source procurement for investor and utility projects from the district ESC. This is, I think, of interest when you look at the Avangrid or maybe K on the project that's if and when Divinity goes to procure all additional offshore wind resources or additional capacity. Having good or offshore wind projects to bid in at whatever their dollar per megawatt hour. The other bills that are in here are related to various Virginia Clean Economy Act changes. They're really just flags for your awareness. I'll be 100% honest. If you look at what the bills are trying to do, as well as the patrons, that's indicative of this session, as it relates to the Economy Act. So they were just there for your awareness. I also didn't print them out because they're all the same 56.85 central code, which is like 14 pages long, and printing out X number of those bills that all. So I'm happy to ask questions as I can, and what I can't answer, take back and then make things to future time or follow up.
Awesome, thank you for providing this.
Yeah, of course, happy to be of service.
I got the question, Ashley, is
Yeah.
what do you envision this system looking like? Didn't sound one.
In regard to what we do with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, then that's, I think it's not just for what Ashley wants to do, but what does the group want? So, exactly, where do we as a group want to go with this? And so we're just reading them for really the first time going through specifically the workforce development one. I mean, Michael and I had talked about this, don't get taken such, or a little nice about that. And what I haven't done, as far as like seeing where it is in labor and commerce in regards to.
I think it's on. I'm just trying to forward me.
Okay.
Gotcha. Just.
I mean, workforce is right into to point of the April. Put in the annual report, something done. So we'll see, in regards to where that goes, ways. That's who's doing it instead of side. Gotcha. The other ones, I'll go ahead and ask specifically what you guys, what are their concerns as you read through these specifically?
What the department, what's the department's take on these?
You did the research for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Fourth
exactly,
deny
yeah.
would be.
What have been recommendations?
The department is, say for HB 67, for the agency as a whole is probably no position. The agency is only taking a position if we were being asked to stand up or against the bill, is the only time the agency takes a position on bills. Unless it is very clearly this is very bad for your persons. Otherwise, the agency staff takes no position on bills. That is told otherwise by the director. So just,
The staff,
yes.
okay, so, but the director takes the staff, okay.
May have a position, and it should be noted that historically, the agency director has not been as engaged in the General Assembly building as our previous director. It was to the secretary and policy team, we really advocating energy, or certainly when it comes to trade for energy, it was not necessarily a good department. They were not exactly involved in the agenda assembly, getting, speaking against bills beyond bills that were agency bills. Much as. And so the agency's position on, agency staff's position on. I think all of them is no position, with the realization that, like I said, all of the clean economy act related bills are probably not going anywhere. That's a fair bet. And I think that we are supportive of the HB 466 in concept. It seems to be a good thing to decrease the amount of time the transmission projects are being built, but that is also really just modifying an existing practice by the SEC, the CDC, and transmission projects are not helped anyways. In regards to Delegate Weber's bill, while agency staff is supportive of all sorts of procurement, we do recognize that this bill, to some degree, seeks to go around the Clean Economy Act by saying that you can also procure anything, which would allow for oil, natural gas, as you will, as well as the Clean Economy Act for certain. So, hesitancy to do that just.
You guys have any questions about that one? I should be asking that.
I'll just say. Talks about the director. No. Basically, it's the department of things, identifiable. One of the comments is. Basically, doing it. Overall, how much training is actually needed based on the amount of jobs that actually.
So here is a agency staff question about important, which is how much training workforce development actually needs to occur. And also this bill would have a fiscal impact to the agency, right? We would.
I think it would just go back to, it would go back to the developers, because we already have training institutions in Virginia and other places that do GWO training already. So I would just say the objective question that the department needs to figure out is what's the actual demand signal for these jobs? How many is that? What does that mean? And what existing training facilities are already providing that? What's the capacity? So that, because I think always a concern was that there's a bunch of groups that are going to go out and set up a ton of these offshore wind training programs, and they're going to be in.
That is agency staff.
So I think really, the question doesn't have to come from, the question should be posed to ballot, it should be posed to developers. To say like kind of what are you guys thinking? I think there's an objective analysis. What's your future demand forecast for these jobs? What's the pipeline look like? Surveying the existing GWO training in Virginia and just kind of see, do we actually need to use fast?
Right.
And then I would say that just jumping ahead to the 1079 bill, yeah, I think my personal opinion, I don't think it's going anywhere. It's not in this current climate. especially since I don't think that the current developers, the current developer already has plans to develop additional lease owners that they have rights to. And so, see on the horizon, maybe an additional situation where this type of competitive would be necessary or even on board.
I'd say the agencies have. But I was presenting to you bills that were still alive that may be related to tangentially further off, further or less.
I mean, I basically, just my thought is, at least for these two,
Yes,
I would say not all of them.
want to write a letter?
I would say like none of these are strong enough for us to be like.
Yeah.
Because either they're gonna happen anyway. Or either just kind of. A little more adjacent to where we are.
Well,
That's-
procurement is something we talked about.
Yes.
So it is, but again, and then workforce is obviously something, Chris noted it's $150,000 or $1,000 is the budget impact for 67. As far as that goes, I don't know if we have a budget impact for the procurement.
Virginia Park and Energy would, the SDC, right? I don't
Yeah.
believe the SDC is, yeah.
Right. So
What's
I think that it is, so I guess Will, what I'm questioning is, now that we know these are here, is it worth it? When I mentioned a letter, that means we can actually say, we don't need this viable this time or necessary this time to be doing this because it seems to be, but we don't have that information. So it would be actually talking with Dominion and with them to your point, getting that information to determine if we need to take an action.
That's what I was saying. I don't know if we, without information,
Yes, let me clear.
to write a letter that says we need more information.
No, yeah,
That's really,
that's not what I meant, but yeah,
I don't think like part of it
yes.
should be asking those questions too. Because when they provide the input, like you said, to the administration, they say it's necessary, it's not necessary. I would almost, my comments, I haven't seen any of these that warrant any pro or against decision,
Right.
like only speaking for the VMA, all these are neutral in our bucket this year.
Brian, as far as chamber goes, is there anything that's screamed out to you? For support related to. Sorry, it's fine, and it's wonky.
Chris can't speak on
I
that.
know he can't speak to that part, but I mean, with your expertise,
But Ryan, I think, gave a sense,
yes,
for Department of Energy, it's gonna be the direction of the administration on these issues. I wouldn't want to put DOE staff in.
exactly.
But I think around this table, to Will's point, as probably HB 67, SB 25, that's probably the most realistic piece of legislation that probably will, come through. And I think it's interesting to figure out where is the need, if there is.
Well, I think that would be, you mentioned it. Ryan, you mentioned that you guys already kind of felt the same way. I mean, I would really be, I won't speak to the group, but my recommended advice back to the staff is that, yeah, there's some demand forecasting that has to be specified. So that we don't pass a bill and set up a program that's unnecessary.
Not this agency's aspect, but you wouldn't want to create a position that is looking at, you wouldn't want to necessarily waste taxpayer dollars, sorry. Spend taxpayers' dollars.
You want to be a good steward.
Yeah, we want to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars, and we also don't want to train people for jobs full of people.
Exactly.
And you could couch all that and give it budget clarifications. So secret.
Very tight,
Affordability.
very, very.
With your recommendation in our own report, in our recommendation to just continue to work with all stakeholders to create a regional supply chain and workforce for the blah, blah, blah. And then in our objectives, I can see address the training and human resource requirements for the mechanism to provide the necessary human resources. That was in the preface that says support the VEDP to do that. So if we were to do something, it would be, say read our report, please, or to, if we were supportive of that bill, we could be supportive of it as long as it as it pertains to our objective and having to be equal DP and be mothership.
Pick up on Kathy's point, which really, I think, lines up with some of the most recent presentations I've seen from the VDP and from Jason and his presentation on Monday evening. To the Senate Commerce, talking about a people focus, right? And them running quarterback, it's making sure that Virginia has the people. And so it should, I mean, I would almost make the argument that should be not Department of Energy, but within the Virginia Economic Partnership. And maybe it says blue economy, not offshore wind, because then it creates a broader, approach where there are other parties that are already leveraging federal grant dollars to provide that work. And so goals, but not everyone in this room point of this sort of maritime shipbuilding, ship repair ecosystem, which this industry obviously falls into.
Well, at the bottom of that bill, it says coordinations, that's all we done, coordination. So I think that's another, they're also gonna have probably budget with data, actual demand forecasting.
I don't. Thank you for providing this report.
I would encourage you to read our report.
Exactly.
If anybody associated with these bills, please read our report when you get it, which we don't know when that will be.
Yeah, no, I think this is, no, to Will's, all the conversations going on, these two, we can say, hey, this is why we need the report to get out
Yeah.
soon, because, and we can point out the exact points that we did on our report for them to reference. I think that's absolutely fair. Okay, so that is something that Brian will take on. All right. Getting that and seeing how we can progress that further and pointing out that to these two bills specific. To your point, and I appreciate the opinion of you guys all chiming in here regarding the other bills. These are, thank you for putting together like I asked you to do, we asked you to do, but those two rise to the top, that's too important. Okay, next item, we already took care of that, administrative updates.
Yeah, this.
Yeah,
It should have been.
Exactly, yep, exactly,
And so,
administration,
I
not,
will,
yeah.
reiterate what I said earlier, the admin is very focused on the affordability of all things, including especially related to energy currently. The department is working to better understand that means and how we can implement that. Part of DO1 was from page on how we can identify solutions to make energy. Things that within our control. So that is my administration update. Hopefully somebody from the secretary will join us next, or the director can join us at the next meeting. That's crossed over it.
And that
Staff.
would be the next point I had. When would we like to try to get that to happen? How sooner than later? I mean, we have to give us the time to feather their nest and settle, but at the same time, how urgent do you all feel that we need to go and have our,
Well, it's not bad before, I don't think it's bad in 4 sessions.
oh, yeah.
And it's still-
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So do we wait for Q2?
It looks like we got this.
Oh, Doug, sorry, do you have a question? Or never? There we go. My main question, you've already read it.
It says,
Where do we go from here?
Yeah.
That is, as the offshore power is scheduled to finally come online soon, what can we do next to help the Commonwealth build on this victory? For example, help leaders see and weigh possible new options.
I think your point is valid, and that is something that when things are online and we see it, then we're going to know. And with all with what Ryan just shared with us concerning the amount of power from CVAL that's going to be going on, that is something we need to actually understand before we.
well, I think it would go back to, that's a great point, because when Valdez was set up over a decade ago, there was no offshore wind. There was no siting, there was nothing. We were doing everything from scratch. There was no supply chain, there's no workforce. Now we have it all. It's all there. Siting's done, supply chain's done, workforce is standing up, it's all there, right? I think now it would be, that's kind of tied into the affordability, but I don't know if that slips out of our control. That's really not our charter versus what is like the SEC's job. It's like, what is this going to cost Virginia under the banner of the affordability document, right? But I still think something that we brought up that I still think is a good idea that we could, the department, pitch the administration as like a revenue sort of thing, is this idea, this R&D. still out. Still not a whole lot going on. And there's so many, I think, things that could potentially be done in the R and D mix. So, that's a state asset. So,
We did write that letters report to Open Sea.
Yep.
To encourage that kind of thing. It'd be nice to get an update from him maybe, to
Okay.
see, but again, he was saying everything still comes through Dominion. All requests are typically still coming through Dominion and not through Open Sea. Maybe because of they're not advertising it enough,
Oh,
but,
can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
so when we had, Open Sea
Uh-huh.
present. That's kind of how they were set up, and they have that platform to coordinate R and D. Anybody who asks, hey, we're looking, we got a new product, we'd like to test it out there on that. Then Dominion came in and said, well, we have to approve it anyway. So all requests still come from them. And I don't believe they're charging anything for that. But Dominion still seems to be the first to make that, yeah. And is it being, that like our recommendation was to really encourage. And it is, and one of the SWOT presentations we had were comparing what some other states have that are really robust websites encouraging R and D. Bring your stuff to us. Is not only is it, it's for everything around offshore wind. It's for parts, I mean, it's for new parts, new technology, do this, do that.
Wasn't the Aries grant?
Hearing.
The big Jerry works block funding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think.
It was a grant, yeah.
I think the clarification though about Dominion's involvement. Dominion owns turbines. And so their thing was, if anything was going to be attached to
Right.
their turbines, they needed approval on.
Yeah.
But the actual lease.
This area.
Yes.
So it's like submersibles. I'm just grabbing it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then working around these
Maybe
things and all the things.
I mean, I did see, it's not this group, but, there's companies overseas that do the floating solar, which is the greatest idea.
Well, that's occurring a lot up north in Maine and those places. They're putting a lot of money into that. But that comparison of what other states are doing
Yep.
as far as that
No, I pull that back out.
are far ahead of what Virginia appears to be.
Two things. Let's see what happens with these with workforce, because that's part of our, to your point. And then also let's go and blow off the dust off of our R and D and look at that. But I think Chelsea Jenkins will also be extremely helpful. And so if it's okay with you guys, this group, so we're not violating any rules, and Kathy and I can talk with Chelsea independently and review all of that. And then she can reach out to any other questions she
Well,
has.
let's tee it up to debate her topic for minutes.
And then, no, that's what I'm saying, but to bring her up to speed, especially because it's the area in what she's working in, that we can do that. And Doug probably has some thoughts on that as well too, regarding research and development. So we'll do some discussions between now and the next meeting to have a more robust conversation. And I think your point is, what are other states doing? Offshore wind's in a wonky spot right now. You've got states that want it, economics that want it, an energy need, huge energy need. But you have administrations not in agreement at the federal and the state and whatever levels. So it's a wonky place. So it may be, again, I don't have a clue if power is even happening. Or smart power. Yeah, it's fizzled as far as.
This whole tri-state agreement.
It's still
They are.
nominally active.
Okay. So, and I know, and the other thing is there's some other, the Southeast Wind Coalition, some of those, it may be worthwhile seeing what they're encouraging. But for us, I think the next step is to go and brush off the dust off the R and D that we did, get Chelsea to chime in on that because that's her one of her bailiwicks, and see who we need to bring in from the Department of Commerce. I think really what we need to know is direction from the Secretary of Commerce and what energy want, what they want, what the expectation of the administration is. I think getting through this session is a big part of
And
that.
I would say, to your point.
Yeah.
I would say, for the next meeting, it should happen.
Yeah.
Secretary of Commerce has to agree this.
Yes. Oh, for sure. She will. Okay.
And
Well,
that's the next, so long, I'll talk about the work groups and the objectives. So, you know, I did the R&D part, that was my objective, I was a work group person for that. I can update that, happy to do that. We did have recommendations that came from that went directly as a report.
Yeah.
And again, that was the white page that we had sent out, and I think it ended up going out in September. That was ideal to get in anything that was going to be a bill or a budget
Right.
at that time.
What we need to find out is what has happened, and we don't have that information. We don't know. We need to check with OpenSeas, we need to check with, we need to ask the question of staff and that to go and tell us, what can you tell us has actually happened? And so in the lease area, if there has been anything, so that's something that we can get. And that doesn't have to wait for the next, or that can come to us in an email from between now and the next meeting. Here's what's happening in that, so that we can then have thoughts and research.
Did, Anna Larson retired and then the next day went back to work for a second. Is that in the same vein, or do we know to see a
Same.
placement
Yeah.
there that will now be coming back and giving us?
I still call him on
Yeah, all things, yeah. He's still that primary person between FGT.
his emails changed slightly. They
And
have.
that's why I'm not getting anything. Yes, please, and thank
I
you.
think they- I think
Out
they
west,
added
somewhere.
this.
No, he said,
Oh, northern that. Okay.
They split the addition.
Good vacancy. Son of a-
okay. Okay, all right. Is there anything else? I think we've got our,
We want to try to determine our next meeting.
yes.
Our work group and then meeting.
Yes.
Do we want,
Well, let's give time for the work groups to meet, but I think can we do 2 people? That's all. Is that anything more than
some of
2
the
we
people
can?
are gone, so they'll have to be reassigned.
Yes,
Laura and Eileen are not.
yes. So having said that, I don't have that list with me. Yeah, let me work on that.
Or Ken, do you guys
You
have?
guys have that, the previous work groups. I'm sorry, I did not grab my 3-ring binder with all of my data.
We do not have it on us today.
Okay, okay.
It's our office.
Because Eileen, we know was workforce. Howard was regulation and procurement, as far as that goes. I'm just really drawing stabs.
You're doing good.
You were the chair, and I'm gonna put out, yeah. Yeah,
Well, I mean, I would say this though.
yeah,
Just my only comment on
Yeah.
it. I would think though that before we get back to that,
either, yeah,
we need to kind of figure out what we're actually focusing on now and get some, to have a chat with the administration.
Yep.
And then either reconstitute the work groups, start doing ones, solve some.
decide what's necessary.
Yeah, because I think it's gonna be a better use of our time.
Exactly. And also too, is I don't want to burden the staff. I want us to be more directed because they are already asked to do a lot of things for different things going on that we're not part of. But to make sure that when we know that this is what we want to do. So I like the idea of the R&D and finding out what's happening within that police area. That makes complete sense to me. We'll see what happens with this bill and then what ends up happening for them. But to Will's point, we've got to know what the administration and the
So
secretary.
there's chicken and egg thing, because you don't know what you don't know. So, if the administration, was updated on some of these things that are already reported, it might change their direction on what they do. I didn't know that was already happening. This is happening, that's happening in this state, because I think it's probably. We should expect, because they should know everything is, you know how people get picked for positions and, it takes a while to get up to speed. So this will certainly help them get up to speed, and anything else we can,
And Ryan,
Yeah.
we will, with the staff, I'll work with the staff to make sure this is expedited.
Yeah.
I would make that request.
Because I used to workforce. I said, for the working group of a workforce convenes, there needs to be presentation from the Dominion and the workforce council.
On
That
what,
says, what is the actual data backed?
Exactly.
And where are we with that?
and that can be part
And
of
if
it.
it's addressed,
Yeah.
check the box to solve that work.
Yes,
So
I agree.
DEP, do they play a part, because they're in our,
Yes,
Sure, they would, but I mean, like I said, it's like BEP. I mean, it's the way I'm seeing it from the deck plate level is Dominion's hiring ball, so they have, and all their subs, so they're gonna have a better really head on what they actually need. And then, at least in Tampa Roads, the workforce council has all this wrapped under its maritime workforce.
and they received a lot of state money for
A
that,
ton.
a ton of state money. So it would make good use of
So
that.
I would almost argue that they would have better data. I don't know that to be true, but that would be fine.
I think they collaborate.
Sure.
Yes. So looking to Chris's point, and we're at 3:10, and I know we started late, but, looking at our, calendars. Are we comfortable meeting, trying to shoot for March, end of March? Do we want to wait till April? I can't remember when Ricky meets. Or do we want to ask all of the players to get an agreed upon date and then work ourselves into it?
And I would say. Whatever our next, I mean, do we have a set interval for the?
Quarterly is what we try to do, but yeah, so we could do early April, we could do the end of March. But it's also whether or not we can get, because to your point, we could try for early March, but I don't know that that'll happen.
Early March is better for me, because I'm gone a lot, April.
Why not May? I mean,
That gives them more time. I mean, are we comfortable with that? I want to make
Mid-May.
mid-May,
Yeah.
and that gives us more time to work with Brian, Secretary of Commerce Office, and as well as getting some people here that can actually go and present to us. CVAL, actually, hopefully we'll have power, depending on what their date is. I don't know what it is, but they might actually have some. But, they have a lot of people that are traveling from outside of Virginia that already have the skills that are coming in, and they're all working on multiple projects. My understanding. Just absolutely that.
Ones are, anything else?
But I mean, fuller scale, yeah. Good. Okay, so do we want to go for early May,
Mid-May.
mid-May?
So like, week of the 11th, or week of the 18th.
Yeah,
And looking ahead from that, do we still want to update our reports and be able to provide them something as a white sheet prior,
I
or
think-
white paper
I think we'll,
by September?
by September, that's different. From that meeting, we'll know that'll give us the direction that we need to go. To
Okay.
Will's point, if they're doing all of this, we don't need to have any work done from the workforce group. Subcommittee, we don't need that. Because if it's happening, then we've, to his point, checked the box. So I think we need to go and know what's going on in each of these categories to know what's going, so that's what our, yeah, so let's go, and I'll strive to have an agenda that will go and address each of these.
yeah, because I was writing down, and I think I'd recommend we definitely should start, CVAL is, I mean, Dominion should probably be now provided as a standard,
Exactly.
even if it's just 10 minutes. Maybe open seas, but like I can talk to Jerry, he's kind of where we're at. Workforce
Jerry loves
council,
talking.
who up?
Jerry loves talking.
Yes, he does. Hanford's workforce council would be a bad idea on the next meeting. And another idea I was thinking, I'm not sure the answer to, as far as workforce needs, is LS Greenlink, who's the cable company that's building in Chesapeake, $600 million model.
right.
And what, it's adjacent, because it's the offshore wind industry, it's manufacturing.
Yeah.
Areas personally, but their workforce needs are the programs stood up.
So it's not focusing on the building of an offshore wind farm, but the
Subsidy case.
subsidy, yeah.
For
Just-
global export, so it's really gonna be more about a global export for Virginia. That's Joe coming back in.
Oh. He's in. Okay, all right, these are good ones.
And I don't know if you guys
Here's
saw,
another comment. Those are excellent comments from the gentleman on the end about new transition. I also like Will's earlier comments. His recent article about tie-ins to maritime sector development.
thanks for reading, Joe.
Yeah, it was a good one, and to be honest, Doug has been sending me, a lot of articles, and I need to go and ask for those to be distributed to you guys, if you're interested in that. Okay, good.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw, back to the LS thing, I don't know. I guess where the LS really made a second $600 million assessment.
Yeah.
So it's gonna focus on,
That's what I need.
rare metals to be used in energy and defense. So that company is invested, I think, now over $1 billion in Virginia manufacturing. Really interesting.
Will impact USS Juice as part of that, your town, in one station, always. That's all it does, but like you,
Oh, I thought you were, okay.
it had a railroad track, actually up to that other pier, 4.2, bring cable from warehouse all the way down. I think it's roll it on that US Institute, and it goes out for a month or so at a time. Lays cable, comes back, flows back up.
Agree, and
Pretty
we have invited Steve out, again, just to remind you, but I think asking for it to be standing, so making sure they know that.
Well, I think that's more of a jump. It's more of an ask. It depends. But I think John Larson's gonna have a better idea. It would be more of like his shop versus GT's shop.
I understand, I just couldn't get a hold of John, so I had to reach out to GT.
I've heard that he's retiring,
Who?
John Larson.
He
He
did,
did.
he did, but he's a contractor.
Very next day, he went back to work.
He did the old consultant switcheroo.
He did a Max Marathon.
And I would recommend if you're gonna go to Steve, I'll also bring them someone who's working on the 2 turbine project. They've got a lot of R&D projects going on. You talk about R&D in the
And that's
research
what we-
area. I think Dominion is the only one who's really got anything going on, in terms of R&D in that area. We did speak with the Swedish manufacturer you had mentioned, this project here for floating devices that combine solar and wind and we call it hydrokinetic. If they were to put something in the research space, we would have to get approval from, well, it has to be a very, very lengthy project process.
But why?
Because it's our research space, but if they're gonna be tied into the ground for a certain amount of time, phone still has to work, and they have to go through all the environmental and all that other stuff. The other issue is how would they get the power to land? And so we had talked about whether Dominion allows to interconnect it with one of the 2 turbines, and that was hard now. We're not touching the our thing or your thing, so we're working with them now to look at something in state waters. It would be outside the research space and closer to shore if they want to land in that line.
That's good to know. Thank you for sharing that.
I'm surprised Boeing didn't do maybe I'm mistaken, they didn't do a blanket environmental assessment for the R&D, we
So
said.
we had a long conversation with them and,
Yeah.
you know, basically would be starting from ground zero.
Wow. Wow.
Like a. Or the conversation. Okay. Anything else for the good of the authority?
The follow-up, we'll,
Mid-March, mid-May?
in May, Norfolk, I'm assuming. And I'll provide some dates and times with the boardroom of the World Trade Center to be made available.
Okay.
But then also, just thinking out loud, want to increase the likelihood of having the participants that we've outlined, like someone from Department of Energy, maybe Secretary of Commerce, Trade's Office, Dominion, you know, do we stay flexible?
Simplification.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to, because we want them to be there and it needs, yeah,
Come back up, Chris.
yeah, exactly. And then Doug really wanted to be here today too, so that he could actually sit around the table and it's closer this way. So. And if we know in enough time in meeting us, we can all schedule our schedules for us to have other things to do while we're in RVA. All right,
Hopefully the AV will be more forgiving.
yes, we'll get here earlier and make sure that's gone.
Or we can be.
We have no, I feel like, you know, what wasn't on the agenda is it should have been as public comment, but just happens to be that we have no one here to do public comment. So I will put that out there and state for the record that we have no one here or online for any public viewing. All right, is there a motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Wait, Joe and Doug, if you're good to adjourn. Okay. All right, thank you guys. Appreciate you being. You can go ahead and stop the meeting. Please.
I looked up any technically.
You do.
I know you got the motion.
Because if somebody doesn't want to adjourn, they can filibuster them. We're not exactly. Yeah, they can. Exactly. Doesn't happen often, but